Welcome back to another episode of Common Ground. I'm Lawan, Big Red. My co-host,
Mgtow 417.
What's up? So, I want to thank you guys that commented on the last few videos. This is our fifth one. According to Mgtow, this is a milestone because it's his favorite number.
Hell yeah.
So, I want to thank you guys for commenting and subscribing. And, give us some more comments so we can keep bringing you that dope content that you guys want to hear talked about. And it's not necessarily so PC, you know, so some cold hard truth and some cold hard facts that if you don't like, then that's your problem to deal with, not ours, you know.
So we're talking about the feminist movement, the Mgtow, and Mgtow movement. Oh my! So let's get right on into it.
So why don't you explain what each of those movements are, since this was a topic out of your brain.
Okay, the Mgtow movement, I guess, was produced by the whole situation, I guess, with the Cosby trial, where all of the women were coming out and saying that Cosby had drugged and raped them. And not only with Cosby, but other celebrities that are in Hollywood. So it's a more or less a Hollywood or a person of power movement, people that have been sexually abused or made allegations of sexual abuse against people in power. The Mgtow is men going their own way. It is on the philosophy of Brifold's law, meaning that once you stop providing useful benefits to women, the relationship usually stops. And it doesn't matter if you've done things in the past. If you stop providing benefits to a woman, they'll stop with the relationship. And from what I understand, it sounds more or less like a parasite. You have a host person, i.e. a man, and then you have the parasite. And I guess sometimes it can go back, the other way too, because there's men that's, you know, trying to use women too. And once they're all used up, they spit them out and go on to the next host. And then you have the feminist movement, which has been around since, the 1920s? Meaning the perpetual, it's the perpetual movement of women to a status of men, to some men, even a greater status than men. There are a lot of, you know, women that are feminists that I bump into in my personal life. They're not all fat, ugly, and talking all this feminist stuff. There are some that are quite attractive, and they just feel like they're as strong and have more to, or just as much to offer it to the world as a man. What do you think of those definitions?
Well, pretty accurate. I think all of them are kind of silly, really. Men going their own way. Have people gotten so dumb nowadays that they know what they want in a relationship, and when they get in a relationship, they see that they're not getting what they wanted, and they choose to stay? I'm not part of the pity party. I'm sorry. I mean, that's your own fault. You have time in the beginning of a relationship to get out. Okay?
There's plenty of tricksters that come along, man.
Yeah,
Flim-flam women, flim-flam men.
There are, but
and some people.
But there's certain things that you can do to prevent that.
Like what?
First of all, don't have sex right away. I know men, they want to have sex with a woman that they meet, hook up with, like, as quickly as possible. A lot of men, not all, not most, but a lot.
And women
can be the same way.
And women wants to be in a relationship as soon and as quick as possible.
But
see, that's why
if somebody is not willing to be patient, then you need to step off.
See, women usually are the gatekeepers of sex, right? For the most part.
No, we let them be the gatekeepers of sex.
So then, if we don't let them, then I guess that would make us all rapists and be a part of the
No. What? Why are you sitting there acting like men have nothing to offer to sex? Maybe women are just better at hiding how bad they want it.
I'll agree to that.
Okay, maybe women are just better at hiding how bad they want it.
I'll agree to that.
And they know but they know how easy it is to get it from us.
Yeah,
because we like little hound dogs out here sniffing anything that'll let us poke it.
But see, that's where the Mgtow movement comes into effect. Men ain't on that no more. Men, because women are a dime a dozen.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
A good woman isn't, but women are.
Yeah.
Sorry, women, but that's just how we see it as men.
Him. Don't lump me in with you, bro.
Well, women outnumber us 5-1 these days?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm only concerned about 2.
Oh, okay. I got you.
My wife and my daughter. That's it.
The the Mgtow movement is definitely geared towards men that. Shut up!
No, come on, man. We doing the show. You can't just scream out, "Shut up." This ain't no hood show.
That's my dog.
I hope you can edit that out.
You
have to put them outside from now on. You have to get you a chain and tie it to a tree and put them outside, so that doesn't happen in the future. They can be out there for an hour. Just get you some sleep medicine, and you'll be good to go.
What was I?
Women are a dime a dozen and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's how a lot of guys see it. The Mgtow movement is, basically for guys that's, been discriminated because they're men. There's a lot of laws on the books that are definitely tipped into the hand of a woman more so than men.
Okay, and I could be a member of Mgtow because I feel that I'm discriminated against when it comes to child support. But no, wait, let me get
No, I'm not disagreeing.
But here's my thing. I'll take a little discrimination to be a provider to my children. So, but the laws are unfair. So if you have this movement,
they're not unfair?
They are unfair.
Oh.
If you have this movement in a group of men, where are the petitions floating around? I haven't come across a single petition asking for child support I can't even talk. Child support reform. Okay, yeah, we have all these laws on the books that benefit the woman, the wife, the mother, the child. But we as people can get things on the ballot to be voted for by getting enough signatures on a petition and actually getting that issue on the ballot. So then it gets out of the hands of the politicians and it gets put in the hand of the people. If there's all these men that feel this way about these laws, instead of making movements and complaining about a bunch of sissies, do something about it.
They are. They're doing it by not getting into relationships with women. They're doing it by not cohabitating and not getting married. going along the lines of women paying if they do decide to see a woman or whatever, she's paying for her own stuff. No more unnecessary attention to women as far as giving them validation. There's a lot of things that are happening with the Mgtow movement that doesn't necessarily have to be on a ballot or at state, local government level.
Wow. Did you hear that, Tia Marsha Johnson? The breed of gentleman is dying. You got one of the last ones.
What? By men saying that they're, well, yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
What?
But here's the thing, though. That's what women saying they want. And that, like, Beyonce's whole career has been on, you don't need a man, yada, yada, yada. Move on to the next.
Okay. And guess what? Those are songs.
Those are songs
If you
that
get
influence. Those are songs that influence not only women that listen to it, but it influence little girls that listen to it too.
And if you are getting your worldview and how you think about relationships from a singer, and you can't think for yourself, that's pretty messed up. Hold on, wait, I'm not done. Beyonce may be singing these songs,
but she ain't living it.
But is she living that? Is she putting that in practice?
She ain't living it.
Use your common sense, people. Okay, Beyonce works with a team of people that helps her write these songs, sing these songs, produce these songs, and market them to the people that will buy her music. Okay? And so she doesn't have to live what she's talking about. Mm-mm. She's in business to make money off her music. And parents, why are you letting your children listen to something so adult? I mean, I know you can't stop everything your children do. They sneak behind your back and I mean, I did it, we all did it. But what, our parents aren't talking to kids anymore and say, hey, I know you like that song.
The TV is
but that's not how I'm raising you to be. I mean,
the TV is raising the kids. Music and television is the two biggest factors of influence in, I won't say everyone's lives, but definitely young people's lives. So what artists put out there matters.
That's if the parents expose their children to that stuff.
They cannot expose them to it, and they still going to get exposed on some level.
On some level, but if you have it permeating your child outside the house and in the house, yes, it will affect them. But as a parent, you have control over what comes into your house. So if you don't want to bring that garbage in your house, that's going to have a bigger effect on that little bit of exposure that your children may get than if it was inside the house and outside the house. And part of that is the blame culture. I don't like the blame culture. You hear the music and the TV is affecting them this way. How about you be a parent and affect them? The video games are causing the school shooters and all this the mass shooters. Tell them to put the damn game away. Turn it off. You bought it. I mean, are we? I know we are, but are people really that selfish that they want to live their own life and do their own thing? And you know what? They know their children are safe as long as they're in front of the TV playing the video game all day. That's just bad parenting to me. So I'm sorry. As far as the Mgtow, I just think that's selfish of a man. I mean,
selfish of a man to want to what?
To worry about his money so much. What's a dinner? You don't have to take a woman to a 5-star restaurant to impress her. Impress her with your personality and being a man.
Well, then
eventually you don't have to have sex with her. I'm 47 years old. Growing up till I got married the first time at it was so long ago. How long ago was that? I think I was 33. Before then, that's all I was about, was having sex with as quickly as I can with a woman. I got married, got divorced 8 years later, and a little bit after that met my current wife. It was kind of the same way, kind of reverted back to my own habits. But then I kind of had an epiphany where I told her I wanted to stop having sex. I said, I want to get married again, but I don't want to be blinded by sex. Because yes, it does blind you.
Okay, but
you can put up with a whole lot of stuff when you got some good booty.
That was a mature movement. That was a maturity movement.
No, but most people aren't mature enough to do that. I said, I want to get to know you better as a person. See, most people don't understand. Most people have the mentality, I want to try it before I buy it. Sex is something that can be learned. So it's not like, as long as you communicate with the person you having sex with, you can make sex better. As long as you're not some weirdo that wants to try something that a person isn't willing to try, or as long as you're into something that somebody doesn't want to try. But sex is you can learn to make sex better for your partner by communication, asking what they like, and all this other kind of stuff. So the try it before I buy it mode of thought is foolish to me. It's immature. For lack of a better word. But I realized that I wanted to get to know her without being blinded by sex, and see if she's actually somebody I can spend the rest of my life with. Because you gotta remember, you gotta live with these people outside the bed more than you gotta live with them in the bed. Okay? And most of the time y'all in the bed, y'all sleep anyway. So you gotta see if you can live with that. Or do y'all? So me and her, yeah, we were tempted and all this other kind of stuff if the situation was right, but we were able to have deeper conversations, be more open and honest, I think, with each other, and get to be friends first. That's what a lot of people don't do. They wanna rush into the relationship, but they don't want to become friends first. A relationship is supposed to be a process. It's not supposed to, I like you, you like me, all right, we're exclusive. God, I can't stand you, get away from me. Domestic violence, calling the cops, and now I'm done with women, I'm done with men. Oh, she fine, let me try this again.
Well,
it's a process.
From what I'm seeing with the whole Mgtow thing is that as men are getting tired of being used. Men are tired of being taken advantage, not only by women, but the system that rules and governs it.
They haven't done anything about the system, so they're not tired of it yet.
Well, it's the Mgtow movement is not as fresh as the.
You can't be pro Mgtow. You married. You can't join. So quit praising them, all right? Quit praising them.
Although, hey, I'm not what they call a simp. I'm married. I love my wife to death, but I ain't taking no crap either, and I don't bow down to her, and I don't expect her to bow down to me.
I do.
I believe, as far as the feminist movement, and their stance on women having equality, I'm for that, but not at the expense of a man's rights too.
Well, I think that movement is very hypocritical. First of all,
What
the feminist movement. First of all, they claim to empower women, but if you want to be a woman that chooses to stay at home and be a housewife, you're looked down upon by that movement. And if you think about it, being a stay-at-home mother is one of the most honorable things a woman can be, because if you are a stay-at-home mother, you are actually preparing the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we live in a generation where the next generation, or we live in a world where the next generation is being prepared by, like you were saying, TV, music, video games, instead of mothers and fathers, but mostly mothers, that are teaching them their values, making them understand their values, teaching them right from wrong, because there is a right and a wrong, going by a biblical standard, and that's what I'm going by. And it also makes you, and it shows your character, it shows how selfless of a person you are. It's easy to keep pursuing your goals and your dreams. It's easy as in finding the motivation. Of course, there's obstacles in pursuing your goals and dreams depending on what they are.
Well,
but as long as you keep the motivation, you can do it. But to actually lay your goals and your dreams aside for 15 to 20 years or even longer to prepare other people, to get them in a position, other people meaning your children, to get them in a position to pursue their goals and dreams, is very commendable, it's very selfless, and it's very honorable. But the feminist movement does not see it that way.
The feminist movement, they see those women see themselves as being able to do it all, be able to be a mother,
but they can't.
Home, be able to hold a work position or a position of power in the workforce, and do every damn thing else that a man can do.
Well, a woman can't do everything a man can do, just like a man can't do everything a woman can do. That's why we're different. We're not the same.
We're not supposed to be the same. We're supposed to.
But that's what the feminist movement.
We're supposed to.
I believe women are equal in intelligence, emotional capability, physically. They're not equal. The average man, if you take the scientific definition of the average man and the average woman, they are not equal.
We're supposed to complement each other. That's the whole ideal.
Yes, and that ideal is what was set up by God. But people
being crushed.
People,
the feminist movement,
choose
the LGBTQ thing.
The alphabet soup people.
Last week we was talking about all these things are breaking down that family thing, or that relationship man woman thing. It complicates things.
It does. But that was kind of just my opinion of the feminist movement. Either you're for all women, or you're just for women like you. The feminist movement is for women like them. They're not for all women. I watch videos on YouTube. Get some pro-choice feminists and some anti-abortion women, and see how the pro-choice feminists talk to the anti-abortion women, but they claim to be for all women. So and I believe you mentioned how does that affect men?
Yeah, and men of color.
Well, men of color.
I mean,
it's common now, but there was a time when a white woman was the most dangerous thing for a black man out there. Just look at Emmett Till. 14-year-old boy that got accused of whistling at a white woman. And what? Supposedly, this happened
and it was
40, 50 years ago. And recently the woman passed, but she said she recanted her story before she died. Of course, she was never prosecuted.
She should have been put in jail until she died.
But this boy was beaten, lynched, burned. And so there was a time when a white woman was the most dangerous thing for a black man. If just looking at one could get you killed.
Now it seems like, sorry to say it, it seems like a sister is the most dangerous thing.
No, a sister can't get you killed by a mob of people unless they relate to her.
But they can get you locked up. They can drain your resources, meaning money, for 18 years.
No, they're not draining your resources. That's holding you financially accountable to take care of your child.
You can do that without child support.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
Why do you think we have so many deadbeat dads? Because they are unwilling to do that.
There's a lot of men that are unwilling to be in a relationship with a woman that is going to try to be domineering over them.
You don't have to stay in a relationship to provide for your child.
You don't have to be in a relationship to provide for your child.
That's what I'm saying. You don't have to stay in a relationship.
And you don't have to have the government. You don't have to have the man in the middle to make it happen. If that's what's in your heart, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it. Now, I was on child support for 18 years. The whole 18 years, she put me on, and she didn't. And wait a minute, I take that back. 17 years, because the first year I was doing everything I was supposed to do in the first place, plus pay for daycare. I was doing all of that. Okay. Medical, everything that I was supposed to do, I was doing it. She put me on there anyway, thinking that she was going to get more when she actually got less.
That's okay. Well, then that was on her. But the thing is, you handled your responsibility. You didn't need them. You're one of the few. Most men aren't like us. I was doing the same thing, but my ex-wife chose to put me on. She got more. I was mad at first, but I looked at it as, okay, fine. She can't always keep coming to me for money. I was giving you this much, they're giving you more, so take it out to child support. That's what I would tell her. And if I chose to spend extra money on my children, in addition to the child support, I did it when I wanted to.
That may be true, but none of that would have been initiated if she didn't go down to child support.
But you know what?
Meaning that she felt empowered to go down there and put you on child support because we don't need you. We just want your money.
No, you know what? No, she wanted my money to take care of my children. She didn't get all fly and start living a lavish lifestyle because she was getting an extra $400 or $500 a month.
But there are women that target men and to do just that. Now and more if the man decides to marry him.
But here's the thing.
All the time, the sports players or anybody else that has a lifestyle that is a little bit more lavish than what we got.
Well, they're dummies for marrying these women anyway. half the time they meet these women in clubs.
Not all the time, man.
A lot of the times they meet these women in clubs. They meet them in the hood. So they probably looking for a payday.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you give it to them, that's your fault.
That's part of the
your fault.
The Mgtow movement. They're just like you saying. They're looking out for themselves now. They're not going to put themselves on the line. They're not going to give out their resources willy nilly. They're not going to get in relationships. They're not going to I guess treat women like gentlemen. They're not going to do all that. Women want it. They can't have it both ways. Or have their cake and eat it too, where they want to be like men and then be unlike men, and be like men but be treated unlike men.
Well, that's just it. Until the laws change, they are gonna get it like that. Now, let's say for instance, let's take a current story. Michael Strahan's wife, she gets $18,000 a month in alimony. She wants more. These men go before judges with the woman, and the judge may decide to give her more. He may not. But the thing is, there are, to my knowledge, no men doing anything about these laws. And
maybe you should start the petition.
I'm not.
He was like, I'm happily married, man.
I'm cool.
I'm good.
I'm cool. Now, if God forbid I get divorced and she try to rape what I got left over the coals, I may have to get my little tear off a couple pages of notes and start that petition.
Hey, you see that, right?
So
you better watch out, girl.
So but it's just I think a lot of I think that movement is just kind of out of selfishness.
What,
I mean,
all of them?
Just the Mgtow. I mean, we want.
That's the same thing that feminists.
Yeah, it's all about me. It's all about us. You know, if all you ever focused on is yourself, you really ain't no good to anybody anyway. So you know what?
What about the Me Too movement?
Well, the Me Too movement has some legitimate claims because
to a degree.
Well, you know what? To a degree, of course, it all depends on how these men came on to these women.
Well, my thing is this: I have a hard time relating to. I guess. Well, I take that back.
It all depends on how these men came on to these women and what they said. If there was some dirty talk, I don't think anything should be done. You know,
what dirty?
You know,
dirty talk.
You know, some
sexual innuendos.
Yeah, I mean, okay, fine them or something because it was at work.
You don't take away a man's
no. That's what I'm saying. A small fine.
Like
no, a small fine. As long as there was no physical contact, I don't think there should be any jail.
I agree.
Okay, I shouldn't. Okay, physical contact and nobody showing their privates. So as long as some dude ain't whipping it out or touching them, there shouldn't be any jail time as far as, I mean, if it's just words that made you feel a certain way and you chose not to say anything about it at the moment when all you had to say was, excuse me, I don't appreciate you talking to me like that. Don't talk to me like that. But the thing is...
But if they are harassing them, that's a whole different thing.
But quit. I mean, yes, I understand everybody needs a job, but there's tons of jobs out there. Well, quit. If you got this dude that is the director of a movie, and every time you're alone, he's talking like this to you, trying to feel up on you, quit. Be like, look, if you don't stop, I'm done with this production.
Well, because of that whole situation with the Me Too movement, there's a lot of men in the workforce that are of power or status that won't be alone with a woman in their office or any.
That's fine. That's fine.
And
That's called the Billy Graham rule. Billy Graham would not meet with a woman unless his wife was there.
Makes sense to me.
There's nothing, and he was just doing that to prevent this kind of stuff. Who was the politician that said that? I think it was Mike Pence that said he does not meet with women alone. You know what? The news media wanted to crucify him about that. They made fun of him about that and everything. Oh my goodness, this guy won't meet with a woman. What is he afraid of? And scared you can't control. They tried to put the blame on him.
No, he didn't want to get caught up in no crime.
Right. I don't have a problem with that. If you can't meet, if you don't want to meet with a woman because you're afraid of what she's going to say afterward.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying. Women,
have somebody in there.
Women,
videotape it.
Want to cry victim over every little thing. As far as how men relate to them. But at the same time, they got a problem because the guy won't meet with you, behind closed doors in the office. You can't. It goes like what I was saying before. You can't have it both ways.
Well, I think people
we are different.
People are scared to say stuff. If you got a client and say,
I won't meet with.
I prefer not to meet with women alone, so I'm gonna have an assistant in here, or I'm gonna videotape the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So so everything can be seen and said,
Because women are crying wolf like what? The whole I give you an example. Mike Tyson. I don't believe that he raped that woman.
I don't know.
I still don't believe it.
Well,
He's still crying that he didn't do it to this day, and I believe him. I believed him then. I believe it now.
Well, see, here's the thing. He had a record of sexual harassing women.
Yeah, he did.
And even if that woman came up to his hotel room,
he shouldn't have had her in there in the
I
first
don't
place.
care if it was this close, and she said no, that shouldn't have happened. So
what shouldn't have happened was she shouldn't have been in his room.
No. Do not think just because a woman is coming over your house or going to a hotel room
at 2 o'clock in the morning,
you are grown. When do you get a curfew? If you ain't got to get up for work the next morning, you ain't got to go home.
My thing is this. She knew what was cracking
No,
before she got
didn't.
up there. And if
No,
she
she
didn't
didn't.
know, then she needed to
No,
go
she
home.
didn't. No, she didn't.
She didn't have to stay.
No, see, that's where you wrong. Assuming gets people in so much trouble.
She didn't have to stay.
Be bold enough to ask.
Be bold enough to get the hell out of there.
No, be bold enough to ask. Yes, are we going to have sex? If you got to come that blunt and that plain,
I would have.
do you want to have sex? Are you coming over to have sex? Be bold enough to ask.
Well, the no is blunt enough.
And if she says no and you don't want her to come over, okay, well, I don't want you to come over because I thought we were going to have sex. If you still cool with her coming over and kicking it, come on, girl. But you know you ain't going to have sex.
If it ain't
you
going
can
down,
still try.
And I don't know you very well, which he should have at least got a chance to know her. He met her at a pageant, a beauty pageant, and I think he met her like a day or two before, or something like that, before all of that went down. So he kind of like screwed himself in that regards.
Yeah.
But what if she didn't say no? We don't know because we wasn't in there. But
Mike Tyson's reputation is what got him in trouble more than her words.
I agree with that.
Okay, there were multiple stories about how Mike Tyson was with women. So he did himself in. That doesn't mean he did anything with her, but the jury, the state, and everybody else was going off of his past stories. And no one was able to come forward and say, I've been to Mike Tyson's hotel room many a times. He never tried anything with me. I've been to Mike Tyson's house plenty of times. He never tried anything with me. So he had nobody on his side to come and show that he was able to spend time alone with a woman and not try to have sex with her. But he had tons of witnesses. Oh, Mike Tyson did this to me. Mike Tyson tried to do this to me. Mike Tyson touched me inappropriately. He had plenty of people. He had an ex-wife. Mike Tyson did that. You know how Robin Givens was. Mike Tyson did all this to me. So he had all this stuff against him, but nothing for him. Yes, it was still his word against hers, but he had a track record already. And most people,
he had a track record on
if
hearsay.
they got a track record of doing something.
He's got a track record on hearsay.
No. There's been police reports, and if enough women that don't know each other or know about each other keep coming forward saying the same thing about you.
So this would be like the whole Bill Cosby thing that was like 30 years ago.
Well, see, that's just it. The time on Mike Tyson wasn't that big of a time of years. This all happened with. It was all current events for Mike Tyson. A lot of the women that came forward were within the last 2 to 5 years. Because, you know, Mike Tyson probably wasn't getting nothing until he won that belt. So
you say he's like a dog loose from the pound?
So probably when he got that belt, that's when the females started coming. And that's when the charges started coming too. So that was during the time when he was at his career, still at his peak. Mm-hmm. And so, and that's totally different to Bill Cosby. He got 80 years, or it was a 30-year span. Some of them cases went back 30 years. I mean, I don't know what the statute of limitations is on rape. So that's the thing. I know there's no statute of limitations on murder. I read an article last week where they caught a guy for 2 murders in the early 70s. The murder in 70 and a murder in 71 or 72. The dude stayed in the area. He lived in the area where the murders were committed, and he never moved. So they caught him and arrested him. So for some murders that are almost 50 years old, there's no statute of limitations on murder. I don't know if there's a statute of limitations on rape. And I don't know if there should be. If my daughter was raped and they found the man who did it 30 years ago, I would probably end up in jail, because if the police came to me and said, we know he raped your daughter 30 years ago, but our hands are tied, we can't do anything because of the statute of limitations on rape, I'm going to be like, okay, don't worry about it. I got you. Thank you, officer. But I know that fool's name now. I got a computer. I would probably end up taking the law in my own hands and going to jail. Because you might have got out of the hand of the court's justice, but you didn't get out of the hand of my justice. So I don't know if there's no, you know what? I'm cool with Bill being in jail, because sometimes you got to look at a situation and put yourself in it, and then your entire perspective changes. People are mad at Bill Cosby because he's a black man, and he wanted to buy NBC. That's why they put him in jail, and he tried to do this, and this.
Do you think that's true?
I don't care. If the man raped them women 30 years ago, he needs to be in jail. Because if one of them women was my daughter and we found out it was him 30 years later, I would want him in jail. So now my whole perspective changed. And that's what you got to do sometimes. Put yourself in that situation. What if one of those women was your daughter? Would you want justice 30 years later, 40 years later, 50 years later?
Okay, what about as far as your son? You got a son, right?
Yeah.
Would you want him to get in a relationship with a woman that's going to take him for every damn thing he got? You know, let's say he built his own brand, ground up, hard work, did everything he was supposed to do. He meets the woman of his dreams. They have a relationship, a courtship relationship. They get married. They're in a relationship or marriage for 5 years or so. You know, he had his wealth before he met her, picked her up. She had nothing. Come to find out, half that time that he'd been married to her, she been cheating on him. And now she wants a divorce, even though he's been giving it all to her. Now she wants a divorce if she wants to take every damn thing and hit him with child support.
Well, I hope he was smart enough to get a prenup. No, I wouldn't want him to take everything. I think if a woman divorces you and she does not have your children, you should not be required to give her what you had before you came into the relationship. Well, hold on. Let me rephrase that. If you married her and you both agreed that she would take care of the home and okay. If she's single, she's got a job. If you're single, you got a job. You come together. Any wealth that you accumulate while you're married
should be divvied.
Should be split 50-50. If you have children with her, if you aren't an abusive man, have drug issues, then custody of the children should be joint. You should pay child support. Unfortunately, that's based on your income. I don't necessarily think alimony should be part of it.
Well, that's what they want. They want half of what you got.
But they don't want
alimony.
They don't always get alimony.
They want full custody.
They don't always get that though.
They want it all.
But it's not up to them. It's not up to them.
And more, and I would say more than half get it all.
No, that's not true, because my first wife's attorney, he prepared some paperwork, and he wanted me to sign it. Good thing I read it before I signed it, because it said sole custody of my children. Mm-hmm. Now, she knew at the time that I wanted joint custody.
But she was trying to slide this on.
I don't know if she did or not. I'm not accusing her of anything.
But he represents her.
Doesn't matter.
He has to tell her that he's going to make that move before he does it.
It's possible. But I just said, look, if she wants a divorce, she has to give me joint custody. I'm not signing this. So he made some changes. Initialed it. I initialed it. And it said shared joint custody. I signed it. I went before the judge. The judge asks you, does anyone dispute this marriage? So in court, you have a chance to say, no, I want to stay married. Mm-hmm. So when the judge asked me, I said, no, Your Honor, as long as I can have shared custody of my children, I do not dispute this divorce. So you have a chance in court to say your piece. It's not like you both walk into the courtroom, the judge looks at the woman and says, it's yours, bye. Case dismissed. No, you get a chance to speak. I couldn't afford a lawyer at the time. She did. But I figured I was smart enough to say what I needed to say for myself. I said, I don't dispute the marriage as long as I can have shared custody of my children. That's all I wanted anyway. I let her have the house. I let her have the new car. All I took were my weights, my tools, and my clothes. I wasn't putting my children out there.
That's fair.
I wasn't putting my children out there. They were still my priority, not myself. I wasn't going to make them have to struggle. They were already going through it enough without me being there. I'm not going to put this on top of them, trying to get back at her. And that's what a lot of men, so-called men do. They're trying to make, yes it is.
It's not all about
yes,
that.
It is.
If that's the case, then it would be about women doing the same thing.
And they do.
With the divorce.
And they
about
do.
Going to take every damn thing and try to break a man.
And
that's what they try to do. They try to break a man.
So they do it to each other. They do it to each other. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. If you're so worried about a woman taking everything of yours, before you marry her, get a prenup.
Don't marry her.
No, you get a prenup.
Mgtow. Don't marry her.
I feel like you're becoming a homosexual right in front of you, dude.
Homosexual. Mgtow.
Yeah, okay.
And,
everybody that's watching his video, he's screaming Mgtow, but his wife ain't home. Okay, so
hey,
don't even go by it.
I go with what my brother said to me a long time ago, which made me laugh. He said they leave with what they came with.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Plus a few extra things that belong to you. Yeah, Mgtow. Yeah, okay. Scream that when your wife is home. I want to put that in the video. Okay, hey. Scream that when your wife is home. But so that kind of goes to my original point. Before you ask someone to marry them, do your best to get to know them. Of course, people have secrets. People can be married to somebody for many years without knowing them.
That's everybody, though.
No,
everybody has complications and issues in their life.
No, I mean like secret fetishes or fantasies that they don't share with their wife or their husband.
Well, they should.
Yeah, they should, but a lot of times they don't. So get to know a person as well as you can. Be confident in how well you know someone before you pop that question.
Or let them move in with you, because if you move them in with you, they, legally,
don't cohabitate. If you cohabitate, you have to evict them to get them out. You have to pay money to file eviction papers and go to court to violate the lease. Because if someone moves in with you, if they're smart, they're going to get their name added to the lease, so you can't kick them out when you get mad. I had a coworker.
Or if they
dude was 55 years old, getting his very first apartment.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Because he always lived with women, and he like, I'm so glad I don't have to jump out of windows no more when the police come and all this other kind of stuff, because they get mad at me.
Well, it's just not just putting them on a lease. You can have to evict them if they pay you any type of monies that they can prove that they paid you any money, or if they get mail coming to the resident. Then you still have to get them evicted, whether you get them on a lease or not.
So you can see how a person lives by going over their house, whether they're nasty or not. Mm-hmm. So you can learn. You ain't got to live with somebody to know everything about them. You can kind of tell what kind of person they are by their friends. Just closing your mouth and listening to them talk.
And
family, and those kind of things. So get to know someone as well as you can before you pop the question. And always make sure you have that first argument. That was one of my rules. I used to do dirty stuff to make women mad, just to argue, just to see how they act when they argue.
Because it's going to come out.
Yeah. And depending on how they were when they are, oh no, she's too crazy. I can't mess with her no more. You know? So I'm still a firm believer in that rule. You know, my Tia Marche, my current wife, impressed me so much when we argued. I hated it.
Why, she win?
No, I can't get mad at her because she don't get mad anymore.
Nah, she just let it go.
No, she just stays calm and rational. I want to get mad and yell, but but she's not gonna let me have that. So I have to calm down and get calm and rational with her. So it's hard to argue with somebody like that, but it's good because I don't have all that extra drama. So sometimes it pays to argue with somebody. If you got some fool that argues with you and they want to bust your car windows out and slash your tires and pour bleach all on your clothes, I never had any of that. Never had any of that happen to me, but I've heard stories.
And they want to keep you on child support while they doing that stuff to you, and you paying them alimony, and they filing false charges on you. There's some crazy women out there.
But see those things.
Nothing's good and nothing's ever enough.
But see,
they want to break you. They want to break dudes.
You sounding bitter, man. You need to stop. All right, we might have to make
I'm speaking the truth.
This might have to be
they're out there.
I'm going to have to do a retraction.
I'm going to do black men of America, you know they out there. I know they out there, and he knows they out there.
I'm going to do a retraction video because Mgtow over there sounded kind of bitter, man. Oh, you made me forget what I was gonna say. But yeah, just be careful. That's all I can say. And you were saying those things work both ways. Men can file restraining orders just as easy as women. If you worried about looking like a punk,
hold on now.
And not file a restraining order against psycho broad, and that's an abuse.
And check this out. Let me tell you how I'm gonna do a quick story. Because we only got a few minutes. Daughter's mother got into it with me at my house. She picked the fight the whole time. She knew that I was working third shift. She kept pushing until things we got into an altercation. Mm-hmm. She grabbed a knife from my kitchen and was trying to use it on me. Mm-hmm. I subdued her, kicked her out of the house, called the police. Mm-hmm. I had nothing but defensive wounds on my hands. Mm-hmm. She didn't have a scratch on her because I didn't do anything to her. And got the police over there, told them the story, showed them the proof, said that I wanted to get a restraining order and I wanted her arrested. They would not arrest her, and they said I would have to go down to the prosecutor's office to get a restraining order against her.
Okay, so why didn't you do it? If that's the procedure, why didn't you do it?
I was young.
Okay, so then...
But they should have arrested her ass anyway.
Okay, no, that's what you wanted. Just because you don't always get what you want. They should have.
I was attacked in my own house.
Yes, they should have.
I wasn't at her house.
They should have. But they should have. But did they resolve the situation and put her out?
I put her out.
No, I'm just saying. Did the police tell her to leave if she was still there when they got there?
She came back.
Okay, you should have called them again. You know, sometimes police are lazy. Sometimes you gotta make them work. Okay, you ain't gonna do nothing this time, guess what? Yo, you need to come back. Eventually they're gonna get tired of coming to your house, seeing that woman there, and they're gonna do something.
After like 5 or so times, they'll do something.
Okay, well, 5 times, and you get her arrested, or you punch her in the face the second time and you get arrested. Which one? And then while you sitting in jail, you lose your job, your crib, and possibly all your other stuff because they took you away to jail and wouldn't lock your door and didn't care if she went in the house and destroyed everything.
No, they'll do that anyway, and the police still won't take them away, even if you don't put your hands on them.
So it all depends. Where was this at? Here in Ohio?
Mm-hmm. Which leads me to a question. Do you think that society and the laws have overcorrected itself and tipped more so for women than men?
That's what laws always do in any area. They overcorrect.
And that's why we have this problem.
Some things need to just be situational.
These problems.
I mean, they can be general. The laws can be general, but then there's still variables in each situation. They have all those general circumstances in common, but then they got the variables that make the law too broad or too narrow for that situation, and that's where the problem comes in.
I think that it is tipped more so in a woman's favor these days, and the ball is in the woman's court, and they're taking the ball, and they got handles on it.
Well,
That's my thoughts.
Well, maybe you need to join Mgtow. Talk to them about getting some lawyers and
change shit
and change some stuff. That's right. That's right. That's all you can do. Or stay a lonely, rich Mgtow member. Because if you ain't got no woman, you're either gonna be gay or you're gonna be lonely.
What's the point in all that, huh?
None to me. I mean, you're gonna have to meet a woman eventually if you want to have children.
Yeah.
So if you want to abstain and from sex and dating, that's cool. I don't have a problem with that. But eventually, you're gonna have to get you a woman somewhere. And if you're so scared, it's not gonna work anyway, because you're always gonna be suspicious. Is she after this? Is she after that? Is she after this? You know,
in any relationship, everybody in any relationship wants something from that relationship.
Well, most people put unrealistic expectations on their partner. It's not your partner's job to make you happy.
Mm-mm.
That's something you have to do inside yourself. You have to be a happy person. You have to figure out what is going to make you happy, and it can't revolve around another person, because people, whether intentionally or unintentionally, will let you down. So putting your happiness in another person or making another person responsible for your happiness is a trap. You putting yourself in a trap and you don't even know it. You are responsible for your happiness. No one else is. Your partner is there to help you build a better life together happily, because you're happy in yourself and she's happy in herself, and you guys can agree to build a life and a family together. And if you can't do that, then you don't need to be together in the first place. Sounds simple, but it's not. That's why we got a 50% divorce rate.
And 90% of it is initiated by women.
Probably because 90% of men out there cheating.
Mgtow.
So
I guess that cuts it.
I think so.
Okay, so did we meet common ground? I don't think so. So, you know, Mgtow. Until again at the common ground, we'll see you
So
soon.
now we're gonna add an M to the LGBTQ.
Oh yeah, okay.
For M for Mgtow. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Common Ground Show. Alright. I think that was a good episode.
You think so?
I think that was very good.
I hope so.
We had some humor in there.